Today I'm going to show you the easiest way to solar power a tool shed like this. It requires zero electrical knowledge and it takes 10 minutes or less to set up. I've been powering my tool shed this way for about a year now and it works great. I've got lights, I've got a fan, my cordless tool batteries stay charged, and I can run power tools as well. Plus the setup I'm going to show you today can even run heat and AC. Let me explain everything you need to know to get a setup like this for yourself. A traditional solar setup requires multiple components. You have to buy those components, wire them all together, and it can be pretty intimidating if you're new to solar. But in the last few years, these have become increasingly popular. This is a solar power station, also sometimes called a solar generator, and this has all the necessary solar components already inside it, wired up and ready to go in a nice, easy to use package. It has a battery built in, it has AC ports so you can plug in whatever you want to, and to recharge the battery with solar, you just have to plug a solar panel right into it. It's that simple. I'll go into more detail in a moment because today I'm actually starting from scratch on my shed. I like to try new setups for you guys. So today I removed my old solar setup and I'm going to be setting up a brand new one that I'm super excited to try out. The setup I'm going to be installing today is using this power station, the BLUETTI Apex 300. I've made videos like this using small off-brand budget power stations, but I always get comments from people asking me to show a setup that can handle heavier loads like heat and AC. Well, as you'll see in this video, this thing can handle just about anything you throw at it. People use these to charge their electric cars and solar power their houses. So for a small tool shed like this, you're never gonna have to worry about having enough power. And there's a few reasons for that. The first thing is the amount of watts it can produce. Power station brands usually advertise two different numbers, the running watts and the surge watts. For example, the Apex 300 can put out 3,840 running watts, and surge up to 7,680 watts. The running watts is how many it can put out continuously, and the surge, or lifting watts as BLUETTI calls it, is how many it can put out for a short, limited amount of time. Some tools and things surge up to a high wattage number whenever you first plug them in and then settle down to a lower number, and that's why that surge rating is important. To give you an idea of how many watts certain items pull, I want to go ahead and plug some stuff into the Apex 300. But before we do that, there is one more thing you need to know about power stations. They have batteries built in, as I mentioned, and the capacity of that battery is measured in watt hours. The Apex 300, for example, has a 2,764 watt hour battery. You can actually buy a battery expansion called the B500K that adds an additional 5,120 watt hours of capacity, and it just plugs in right into the side. That gives you a total of 7,884 watt hours. You can add more of these expansion batteries over time and get up to 58 kilowatt hours, which is 58,000 watt hours. So let's go ahead and plug some things in so you can see some real world examples of battery capacity and watt output. First, let me show you a full-size refrigerator. I don't have a full-size refrigerator in my shed, but I know lots of people do. Even if you don't, if you have a power outage, you might want to use this thing to power your fridge while the power's out. With my fridge plugged in, you can see on the screen the fridge is currently pulling about 300 watts, and we have 8 hours of runtime remaining. With the battery expansion plugged in, that goes up to over 21 hours. However, refrigerators actually cycle on and off throughout the day, so whenever the compressor's not running, that watt number is going to drop down a lot. On average, refrigerators use about 1,500 watt hours per day. So the Apex 300 alone could run a full-size refrigerator for close to 2 full days. And with one of the B500K expansion batteries plugged in, you're looking at around 4 to 5 days of runtime. And we haven't even added solar power yet. So back out here in my tool shed, I've picked out this nice central location right in the middle of my shed. It's right in between everything I want to power. So I went ahead and sat the expansion battery right here on the floor. And now I'm going to set the Apex 300 on top of it. Now I can use the provided cable to connect the expansion battery to the Apex 300. Now I don't have solar power out here in my shed yet, but I do have power. The expansion battery's on, the Apex 300 is on, so I've got these 4 AC ports ready to rock and roll, along with both of the 240 volt ports on this side and the 30 amp 120 volt port on the side as well. I'll come back to these ports later. For now, I'm just going to be using the AC ports on the front. So the first thing I'm going to plug in is this big industrial power strip I have. I'm going to sit it up here on this shelf. On the shelf below that, I've got all of my cordless tool batteries laid out. And I'm going to plug all of these tool batteries into this power strip. Okay, I got them all plugged in. They're mostly plugged in on the back side of the power strip just because I feel like that looks a little bit better. But I still have a bunch of empty outlets for small things. You don't want to plug any high power draw items into a power strip like this. The biggest item I'm going to plug into my power strip is my overhead light, and that only pulls about 90 watts. So now I can plug my power strip into an AC port on the BLUETTI. And if we hit the AC button to turn the AC ports on, and now I can turn on my overhead light, looks like pretty much all my tool batteries are already fully charged. So you can see here on the screen, everything we have plugged in is pulling a total of 92 watts, which is pretty much just the overhead light since the batteries are fully charged already. But you can see with 92 watts going out, we have 3 days of runtime just on the battery with no solar power coming in. Now it's a little warm out here, so let's fix that. Over here on this side of my shed, I've got a Garvey 6000 BTU window unit. Now I can turn on the AC unit. I've got it set to 72 degrees in here, auto fan speed. So with the AC plugged in, plus the lights and the tool batteries, we're pulling 550 watts and we've got 13 hours of runtime. But two things to remember here. One, an AC unit is just like a refrigerator. It cycles on and off throughout the day. So whenever that compressor stops running, those watts are gonna decrease down to like 50 watts and your runtime is gonna go way up. And secondly, we still haven't added solar. When it's not really hot out here, what I like to do is use this Garvey AC unit in fan only mode. That turns off the compressor and just runs a fan. So it's just bringing in air from outside in. And then I've got another fan over here that blows hot air out. And you'd be really surprised at how effective this is. If I'm not actively out here working on something, this is pretty much what I'm always doing. Because if I turn my overhead light off, you can see both fans together are only pulling 90 watts. So we've got 3 days of runtime. I got that little window fan plugged in here, so we still have one more AC port. I'm gonna save that one for tools like my miter saw, table saw. You can plug in my shop vac there. Heck, you can plug in a coffee maker and make a cup of coffee if you want to. The Apex 300 can handle all of that stuff, no problem. I haven't really mentioned it, but the Apex 300 can also power 240 volt stuff. It's got this little switch where you can switch from 120 volts to 240 volts. And then using the ports on the side, you could connect it to like an RV or a transfer switch at your house and power 240 volt items like your dryer or your oven. I've only got 120 volt items out here in my shed, but it's cool that it has that option. Okay, now for the fun part. Let's add solar panels. The Apex 300 has 2 solar input ports. They're both XT60 ports, which support up to 1200 watts of solar input each. Solar input ports on power stations have a certain range of voltages that are safe to use. These input ports are rated for 12 to 60 volts. So how do you know if your solar panels are between 12 and 60 volts? On the back of every solar panel, you should see a label like this with a bunch of numbers. The number we're looking for is the open circuit voltage, or VOC. On this panel, as you can see, it's 20.41 volts. And that's between 12 and 60 volts, so this panel is perfectly fine to use. But this panel is only 215 watts, and we want to get as close as we can to the 1200 watt maximum of each solar input port. So we need to add more panels. Every solar panel is going to have 2 cables on the back, a positive one and a negative one. And each cable is going to have these connectors on the end called MC4 connectors. We can connect multiple solar panels together just by taking the positive cable from one panel and the negative cable from another panel and hooking them together like that. And you can add even more panels the exact same way. No matter how many solar panels you add, you're going to be left with an empty positive cable on one end and an empty negative cable on the other end. Those 2 empty cables are what we're going to use to plug into the power station in a minute. But there's a problem. We have to do some math. Every time you connect solar panels like this, which is called a series, their voltages add together. Since this panel is about 20 volts and these 2 panels are both about 25 volts each, that's a total of 75 volts, which is greater than the 60 volt limit that our power station input can handle. If I remove this panel, now we're back down to around 45 volts, which is within our parameters. So this setup will work, but it's only 415 watts worth of panels. While it is easy to connect solar panels like this in a series, it may be difficult to reach that 1200 watt mark while staying under 60 volts this way. There's another method of connecting solar panels that's a little more complicated. You have to use Y connectors like this and plug them all into it. Instead of a series, this is called parallel. But even then, you're still going to run into limits. The solar input ports on the Apex 300 can only handle up to 20 amps, and connecting solar panels together in parallel adds the amps together instead of the volts. If you really want to get up to that 1200 watt mark while staying below 20 amps and below 60 volts, you're probably going to have to get creative and do some combination of parallel and series wiring, but this channel is all about making solar simple. I'm not doing all that. I just wanted to give you an idea of what you can do if you decide to dive deeper into this stuff. So I'm sticking with the easy way. I'm going to wire my panels up in a series like I showed you first. I'm not going to hit that 1200 watt mark, but it's okay. We keep things simple here. So for one of my solar input ports, I'm going to have these two panels wired in a series for a total of 415 watts and about 45 volts. My other solar input port is going to use these two panels for a total of 400 watts and about 50 volts. The reason I'm going with this configuration is because these are the panels that I have. So we're going to have a total of 815 watts worth of solar panels plugged in. To actually plug in these two solar arrays, you're going to need two sets of positive and negative PV cables. These come in various lengths and thicknesses. These are 20 feet long and 10 AWG. So I'm going to take the positive cable coming off of my solar panels and plug it into the positive PV cable. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the negative side. Now we need to run our PV cables inside to our power station. I'm just going to run mine through a partially open window. All right, inside the shed now, I've got both sets of PV cables here. I zip tied up all the excess cable, and so I'm left with my positive and negative end for each solar array. To plug those into the Apex 300, you're going to need an adapter that has MC4 connectors on one end and an XT60 plug on the other end. I'll leave a link down below if you want to pick one of these up on Amazon. So I'm just going to plug the positive PV cable into the positive side of our adapter, and same for the negative. And now we're ready to plug this XT60 plug in. If you open up this flap, it's going to plug in right here into either one of these XT60 ports. If I plug the other solar array into another one of these adapters, and then plug this one into the XT60 port as well. Now you can see I've got 425 watts of solar input coming in, so it's going to fully charge from 92% to 100% in 1.7 hours. So with my light turned on plus both of the fans running, you see we've got 196 watts of output, still got over 400 watts of input coming in, so now we're going to be fully charged in 5 hours. And it's still pretty early in the day. It's 11 o'clock right now. So that solar input's just going to keep on climbing throughout the day. Usually around like 1 to 3 o'clock is when it really peaks. So around that time, if the weather stays good, we should be getting closer to 800 watts. As long as you have more energy coming in than you have going out, you're going to be gaining battery percentage. And if you have more watts going out than what you have coming in, no worries. That's what this big old battery is for. It's going to keep you running until there's more solar coming in. And chances are you probably don't live in your tool shed, so there's going to be days when you don't come out here at all. And those days when you're not using any power and the sun is recharging your battery, that's when you're going to get your battery back up to 100%. For example, most of the day today, I'm not going to be out here, so I'm going to leave my fans running, but I'm going to turn my light off. And we're up to 480 watts of solar input and only 100 watts of output, so our battery is going to be fully charged in 2.2 hours. So you can see how this is a fully self-sustaining system. Also, if you have grid power wired up to your shed and you're just doing this to offset some energy costs, the Apex 300 works really well for that too. You can keep it plugged into the wall at all times and set it in the app to where it'll only pull power from the grid if the battery drops down to a certain percentage, like say 10%. That way you're prioritizing solar power, but you know you're never going to completely run out of power even if the sun goes on vacation for a week or two. We still need to talk about how to power heat with this thing because it's probably not what you expect, but I do want to mention that BLUETTI has a really good app. I love that I can monitor my energy usage from anywhere inside my house. I can see how many watts of solar input I'm getting and how many watts are going out. I can even turn on and off the AC ports from inside my house. It also has a bunch of settings that you can customize. Okay, so how do I use this to keep warm in the winter? Your first thought is probably an electric space heater, but man, those things chew through batteries. So with this little electric space heater plugged in and running, plus my overhead light, we've got 1500 watts going out, and we still have 480 watts of solar coming in. So even with that 480 watts of solar coming in, we've only got 6 hours of runtime. That might be enough to heat up your shed for a little bit, but it's not very sustainable. So I like to use one of these. This is a diesel heater. This one's from H-Calorie. They're not sponsoring this video or anything. This is just the actual one that I use out here. Diesel heaters run on diesel fuel, but they also do have to be plugged into a power source. But once it gets up to temperature, this thing only pulls like 30 watts. So with something like the Apex 300, you can run that for as long as you want to, as long as you have diesel fuel. And these things really pump out heat too. So if you're completely off grid like I am out here, This is what I recommend for heat. All right, so there you go. Now you know how to solar power your tool shed, and congratulations, because there's a lot of people who would never know how to do this. I hope you had a good time hanging out with me while I set this up. If you like videos like this, make sure you like and subscribe. I'll have links down below if you want to purchase anything I mentioned in this video. Prime Day is coming up soon, and all this BLUETTI stuff is going to be on sale, so make sure you watch out for that. But thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.